Welcome back, Mobile Home Park Nation. Ferd Mobile Home Park Lawyer, here again today with another episode. Got a great guest today for you here, another broker. It's part of our mini series on brokers. We're going to get his insights. Our brokers with NAI Heartland. He is a MHC, MHP broker, got over 10 years in the industry, out of Wichita, Kansas, but works throughout the nation. Please welcome Kris Wessel.
Thank you for having me on today.
Hey, thanks, Kris. Appreciate you being here. Well, I know you. We've worked together some in the past and know each other, but for all of our listeners and viewers out there, please just give us a quick background of how you got in MHP space and then what you do today as an MHP broker.
Okay, very good. Let's see. So I started commercial real estate brokerage in 2006 and worked as a generalist at first here in Wichita, where I live. And a very early assignment was there was a buyer out there, and he wanted to make the jump from being a landlord of multiple single family properties to purchasing a mobile home community. So I worked with him, and I had a lot of time back then, and I had a research background. So I made a database of 60 or so mobile home communities within a reasonable proximity of Wichita. And I just called them all one by one and asked them if they would sell. And out of that, ironically, we didn't get a transaction done with our purchaser, but there was one that he waved off and said, "This is too large. I couldn't purchase that." And so we turned it into a listing. And that was the first property of any size that I sold. And after that, I was kind of hooked. And so things were, it was kind of a trickle for a few years. And then I spent some time kind of on both sides of the fence, where I was really getting serious about the mobile home communities, but I still had other business. And since about 7 years ago, it's been almost exclusively, manufactured housing for me these days. So.
That's great. So that's I've been in the business in some facet about 6 years, and I tell people if I'd have done it 2 or 3 years earlier, done it full time 2 or 3 years earlier, I'd probably retired by now. You did a good job of, I think, getting in early. There's so many people coming in the space in today's environment. Is that what you're seeing? Is lots of new entrants, and from the buyer side? Are you seeing any new entrants from lenders or brokers, or what's your kind of current view on the asset class?
You're right. I think there's a lot of people getting in. There's definitely, we see new buyers show up. I would say somebody lands on my doorstep at least once a week. And, we gather their info and try to figure out what they're looking for and if we can match them to any property that we have. So yeah, definitely new entrants there. We haven't seen a lot of new attorneys come to the marketplace as specialists, so I think that's the news that you'll like.
That's good.
Yeah, we're
fun.
fine with that, right?
Yeah.
And then the broker specialty. There's some barriers to entry, but I do see some people kind of getting deeper into it than they used to, and so I think you'll still see some growth and some variety coming into the marketplace in terms of brokers that are out there.
As far as the new buyers, I mean, are you seeing a mix of small buyers? I'm looking for my own park for me, or are you seeing more of I've got a $50 million equity fund and I'm trying to take over the whole state? What do you see more of?
I think the most common profile is somewhere in between. A lot of the ones that are coming in, they are raising investor funds, and that might be friends and family or what I call country club money, acquaintances, or it could be something a little larger than that. But I would say that's maybe the most common profile of people coming in.
Got it. Now, how does a new buyer get your attention? I know you've got a lot of buyers on your list, and if I've closed 10 deals, you're going to be more likely to probably work with me than the guys close 0 deals. The guys close 100 deals, even more so. So if I'm looking for my first project, how do I get your attention to be taken seriously?
I always say that the first one is hard, and not related to factors that I can control. The property type, the lenders do put a significant part of their underwriting on experience, and but you got to get that first one. I think I have seen some people that as they came into the space for the first time, they might have purchased that first community with cash, and maybe they purchased something smaller, just to kind of get that resume, check the box of experience.
Right.
And seller financing is another way to do that. I think that that pursuit can be, kind of elusive. There's lots of people that want that, and we have a limited number of sellers that, it makes sense for. But I would say that's something to keep in mind on that first one. And as far as like, interacting and other guys in my business and ladies might say something different, but I always think that, let's start by email. If there's a property they see and they inquire, send us the confidentiality agreement. We'll send out the property info. And our goal, when we put together our marketing packages, is to have 95% of the information that you would need to write an offer. Basically everything short of due diligence itself. And then if you get through that package and the property is still of interest, then let's schedule a call, get on the phone, go through questions, and help you kind of move from A to B. But we've found that just getting those packages out by email is very efficient, and the information, we really try to have it deep and organized and presented virtually the same way every time, so that as you get used to seeing those, it shortens your lead time to underwrite as well.
No, that makes sense. So obviously with that, a good portion of your time is working with potential prospective buyers and putting together those offering memorandums. What does your typical day-to-day look like now? As you got on a national platform, or you've been in the industry a long time. I assume you're not calling the 60 cold calls the same way you were on that first one. It's maybe somebody else is doing that, but how's it look like now in the industry?
That's true. I would say and this is one thing that I could have said back in 2006, and I can still say now, there is no typical day. But you're right, the business changes very fast, particularly this year in 2020. I kind of joke that we've changed how we do things 3 times since the beginning of the year. But yeah, you kind of have projects that move through different phases. I do spend quite a bit of time making sure we have our marketing materials correct. And, we're backed up with a really qualified design staff, but, we have to get them the right data to put in there, and they're the ones that make it visually appealing. So marketing materials, and then just moving properties through the sale process as far as getting them ready for market and working with that seller. And then, fielding inquiries, helping them negotiate offers and select a buyer, and then, managing these to close. And, there's Stephen works with me now, and he's in production as another broker. And then, again, we have some support staff, but I still kind of take that, I call it kind of a boutique approach where, I'm involved in the listing presentation, and I'm the guy that takes you to closing. And I will know that thing from top to bottom all the way through, and I'm not going to say micromanage, but it'll be well taken care of all the way through the process. So.
That's great. Have you read the book Extreme Ownership?
I have not.
I think you're living it. I think, but I think you enjoy it. But you're essentially owning every part of the process. Instead of, you've got subordinates or colleagues, but some of them would be better than you at things like graphic design. But it's things like listing presentation, you're running it, you're involved. You're things like getting it through the closing, watching due diligence, all this stuff. That's crucial. That like you're babysitting this thing so that it goes from soup to nuts to a successful end result. And then you're buying dinner at the closing dinner, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That's great. Now, you talked a couple minutes ago about the change in the market as far as new buyers, lots of new buyers coming in. What are you seeing? I mean, as a result of that, or maybe just a result of maybe some macroeconomic factors, what are you seeing in the marketplace, and what's your prediction in the marketplace for cap rates, for deal flow, as we wrap up 2020, go through an election, and then jump into a new year, hopefully a COVID-free environment?
Yeah. The change and the pace of change has been interesting this year, and maybe exciting. I wouldn't call it frustrating, because I feel like we've adapted well on our end, but I think nobody knew what was going to happen back in March. And as things have moved forward, what we're seeing is with the interest rates dipping even lower, that's really kind of helped preserve our low cap rate environment despite some turmoil out there economically. And so I would say I would look for that to continue. We don't see any immediate uptick in interest rates forecasted that I've been told about. And as far as deal flow goes, there has been great deal flow to the marketplace. I think we were in a little bit of a drought or the doldrums in the summer as people were trying to figure out what to do. But for whatever reason, we're seeing some sellers get off the couch and deals come out. And we've seen that at our shop, and I've heard from other agents out there that and other buyers out there that they're happy with the amount of product they're seeing come to market, or even off market. So,
Got it. No, I agree that the low interest rates and the debt that's available right now is keeping prices high, keeping cap rates low relative to what I would have expected in an
mhm.
otherwise somewhat tumultuous economic climate. Uh, definitely a factor at all times. What kind of advice do you have? I know you've been in the business a long time and you've seen lots of different deals by virtue of being a broker in numerous states and on both sides of the aisle. Do you have any good tips or stories kind of from School of Hard Knocks that you can share with our listeners?
um, I thought about that for a little bit, and I don't know. I don't know if I've gotten anything that I would call lessons from the School of Hard Knocks. Knock on wood. I do make mistakes, but I try to keep them as small as possible.
Good.
Sometimes that works. But I would say there's a couple tidbits I picked up along the way. There was an investor we worked with years ago, and one thing he told me was always work with a plan B. And I thought that was really good insight. And I think that can mean a lot of things. It might be having two different ways to get a purchase financed, when you're going into contract. Or, it may mean different exits for the deal. If it goes like I think I'm going to resell this in 5 years and this will be my gain. And, if that doesn't work, maybe you have a scenario plan where you have a refinance. And, that's another possible way to get from A to B. But I always thought that was kind of good, fundamental advice for anything, business or real estate related. And then the other thing that I've picked up, I think along the way, and I kind of use this in my personal investing. I don't buy mobile home communities just for the sake of trying to keep things clean. That when we call you, we know we're always being brokers and not not trying to buy something that you want to buy. But I've done some industrial investment and single family, and I kind of like to look for mismatches between risk and reward. And
Right.
so myself, I'm a moderate risk taker. And so I look for things that might be moderate risk, but might have a, above average return. Maybe the market has misjudged that asset. Maybe we can match it with very opportune financing. And that sometimes lets you, earn returns maybe more in the cowboy investor department without taking on those risks. So,
No, that's good. I think Sam Zell has a similar concept on asymmetric risk reward balance, and that guy knows what he's doing for sure. So I think that's definitely a good idea. Lots of good advice there. Any other tips or strategies that you can share before we part? Otherwise, I'll let you go. But this has been good.
um, I think I think people just probably keep watching the market and looking for opportunities on properties. I think we're going to continue to see stuff come up. And anytime there's change, then that creates a lot of opportunity. And so we may have people come to market that were not sellers that now are. And I just think if you're participating in the marketplace, it's gonna be active, and you're gonna benefit from that.
Makes sense. I forgot to ask you, what do you say? What do you think is the best part of your job and the worst part of your job? You can't just say the closing table.
Fair enough. So there's a lot of things that I like about the business. I really do enjoy what I do. I enjoy the travel. I enjoy the flexibility. I kind of joke that I can work any 65 hours a week that I want to. Um, and the challenge, the risk reward. I like the people, and it's kind of funny I like to say in the manufactured housing business, even if you're really really great at this, it's hard to develop too much of an unhealthy ego. And so I think that kind of means that all the people we not all the people, but the lion's share of people we get to work with are really good folks to deal with. And so those would be several things I enjoy about it. I'd say and this one's kind of a nod to the folks out there that are on the ownership side or getting into the business to be on the ownership side. I think one advantage you have there that you don't get in the brokerage side of the business is that, as you get more seasoned, you get your team in place, you get your properties acquired, and, if you want to take a few days off and go play for a while, rent still comes in, your team's still at work. And, although there's more than one of me now doing this, brokerage really, it's a direct result of time invested. That's not the only factor, but it's not a deal where you get to coast at some point. It's a very active job. So
Right.
I would cite that as a downside, but I'm at peace with it. So.
That's yeah. If you get paid per transaction, you always got to get another transaction. But as long as you got the funnel full and you're doing the best on top of your field, and that's legal stuff's the same way, right? It's like you need a new client tomorrow if the client dies today, right? You always need to kind of fill that funnel. But yeah, as on the ownership side, yeah, definitely can get some of that. They call it mailbox money, but
Mhm.
this isn't a triple net lease Walgreens investment deal. Those kind of deals are mailbox money. There's a little work that goes into running an MHP, as we both know. But
Yeah. I guess you're kind of in the same boat. There's no billable hours on the golf course, right?
right, exactly. So yeah, well, there might be. I'm not a good enough golfer to get on those tournaments, but I think a lot of deals are made on the golf course. But
There you go.
Kris, thanks again for coming on. How can people find you? I know how to find you, but how do you want people to reach out to you?
Sure. So all of our contact information and our listings and our transaction history are available from our website, and it's naimartins.com /MHC. And Martins is MARTEN as in Nancy, S as in Sam. So we spell it a little different. But yeah, if you go to the website, that'll have our contact information and get a look at some deal flow as well.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, Kris.
All right. Thank you for having me on.